Okay. I don't normally start like that, do I? Episode 262. Hairnet. I'm not quite sure why I didn't put the hairnet, but there is quite a lot of them involved, so that probably would make sense not to have a the hairnet. And hello and welcome. I'm a bit. I was out of sorts, shall we say, this evening. I've took quite a difficult decision to actually video this as well, so I'm not sure how this is going to go, but we'll see what happens. And here am I in my my natural habitat, my home office. Behind me, you probably can see a couple of picture frames with various things, various little souvenirs from many years ago. Anyhow, so it's good to be here. You probably can see I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable being on the camera, but I'm sure I'll get over that. I mean, Howard Stern didn't he? So it can't all be bad. I did notice when Howard Stern was talking on the Howard Stern show how deep and rich his voice was, and I'm going, what sort of filter is he applying to his microphone to get that depth and richness? And obviously, it must be something live. Is it something live? I suppose you could probably do it afterwards. But I've heard him speak when he's not on his show, and his voice sounds quite normal, to be honest. I've never been blown away by the deepness or the richness of his voice, but so it's quite interesting to, when you see him and you hear him, his voice is very deep and rich and mellow and calming, even if he does have some pretty crazy stuff on his show. And to be honest, I don't watch it at all. I don't listen to it at all. I sort of stumbled across a few of the episodes involving Lady Gaga. She did some performances. I think Alanis Morissette as well. So that's what I was watching anyway. So, but interesting really, because the live performances were amazing. They were really good. I think Cyndi Lauper did a little thing on there years ago as well. But I mean, he's been around for eons, hasn't he? Howard Stern. I mean, my God, decades at this stage. But he's done very well for himself now, hasn't he? So you can't really knock that, I suppose. But anyhow, yeah. So I've been spending a lot of time. I've now over 260 podcasts of varying lengths. Most of them are like 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 minutes. A couple at more than 20 minutes, and I've been trying to sort of get them on YouTube and stuff like that. Trying to get them out there. I've always had good responses from people when they've listened to them, so I thought, well, maybe I should do more. I mean, that's sort of the encouragement I have, I think, in some ways. Not very good at promoting them, if I'm honest. And for me, maybe the enjoyment's in actually doing them more than anything. Maybe that's what this is all about. But people have said they like to listen to them, and I do know there are people who use them as a tool to get them to sleep at night. So I know there seems to be a lot of apps out there now of you can listen to people's soothing voices to help you just slip away into a deep sleep. So maybe that's something I should think about. I did try a little bit of narration there. I think I did an episode about narration. I've got them really high tech today. I've got a list in front of me, but I don't know which one that was. It's something like narration is really hard, and it is. I did try doing some of it, and I think the yardstick for me is still can't find it. The yardstick for me is when you get a narrator who can do a woman's voice. Say he's a male, obviously, and he does a woman's voice, but it isn't like. It's still his voice, but he does it in such a way that it's a woman, and it's really hard to explain, and I hope I haven't been sexist in trying to explain that. But it's like, episode 33. Episode 33, wow, that's quite a while ago. But audiobooks are hard, but I've been listening to Robert Galbraith, which is J.K. Rowling, we all know that. Those Cormoran Strike novels, and I'm quite impressed. The narration is top class, and I know I could never even hope to achieve anywhere at that standard. So yes, narration is probably not going to be my forte. Plus, people say I have a bit of an accent, in my head, I don't think I do, but when I actually listen to some of these back again, I go, wow, I sound like I'm from Liverpool, or I don't know, but my parents are from a place called Widnes, which is halfway between Liverpool and Manchester, and I was born and sort of raised in Huddersfield, which is the other side of the Pennines again. So yeah, maybe that's why there's a range of accents. And when I do hear my mother's voice, she's still with us, and my father. But when I do hear my mother's voice, it sounds very Yorkshire because she's lived in Yorkshire so long. So I suppose living in Dublin, because I've been in Dublin now in Ireland for 20 years. So maybe that's just part of it. You pick up the accent, you pick up a nuance, and that's it, you know. But I don't think I ever lost a bit of Yorkshire twang. So every so often I'll say something quite strange. And yeah, that's pretty close where I come from, you know. So so I decided I was going to try videoing one of these. I'm not going to be looking at the camera very often, so I might look a little bit shifty. I noticed Joe Rogan. He doesn't look at the camera. He's a true professional. He'd be looking at a celebrity, won't he, in front of him, Dan Aykroyd or someone, or Elon Musk, you know, smoking a joint. So. I doubt I'll be having any guests on, but you know what? If Joe can do it, so can I. You know, I mean, Joe's not a looker, is he? Maybe he is. I mean, to be honest, he's I have got more hair than him, but I don't think I have the better look anyway. That's for sure. So anyway, yeah. So this is let's go back in episode 262. I think I said, didn't I? Hairnet. So yeah, it's not a very common thing for men to wear hairnet. I think women do for a variety of reasons. I know women spend an inordinate amount of time preening and pruning and looking good, and I have the greatest respect for that, to put that much effort in. I suppose being a man, it's something that I never care about, never worry about. Keeping clean is probably the strength of it. Maybe the odd bit of moisturiser if the face is looking like something very dry and crusty. But other than that, I think men in general, some men are brilliant. I mean, they have a good regime going on. But so the hairnet, it's only something I sort of came across working in the food industry. That's why I was wearing a hairnet. And so basically in a chicken factory or food factories, you have to have some level of, I suppose you could call it PPE, but it's also to stop like you dropping hairs everywhere in the meat, you know. So I used to wear a hairnet. There's different types of hairnet now. I think there's a traditional hairnet, if I can call it that, if I can even say it, which would be like a bit of netting, and you put it over the head from the forehead all the way back, depending on how long your hair is, and put it around, usually around the ears as well. I think it's good to hook it onto the ears, you know. So that's the hairnet. That hairnet wasn't too bad, and different factories had different hairnets. They didn't have there wasn't a consensus. Certainly the factories I visited, they didn't get together and go, listen, let's all have one type of hairnet. So that wasn't a bad hairnet in some ways, because you sort of wouldn't know that you was wearing it. And if you was unlucky enough to have a bit of a beard as well, you'd have what's called a snood, which essentially is a hairnet for your beard. I would have to cover the whole beard. We don't want hair in chicken or any food stuff, to be honest. I mean, nobody likes finding a hair, do they, in the food, you know? You know, some factories were a little bit more rigorous. I know the Cook's product factories would be quite vigorous in terms of hairnet. So you'd have what would essentially look like, I'm trying to think of it now, how you describe this. It's like a white tissue paper almost, you know, but it's shapes and it's elasticated. So again, it goes from the forehead round to the bottom of the back of your head and over your ears. But instead of being like a net, it's like paper, you know. And a lot of factories that I visited had that type of hairnet. And I think it was still called a hairnet, even though technically it wasn't a net. It was a hair covering anyway, and you know, essential. Don't get me wrong, it's essential to have that in these factories. And I'll be honest with you, I'd like to see more of it at McDonald's and Burger King. I've had quite a few burgers. Well, I haven't had that many burgers, but the burgers I have had quite a few with hairs on them. So I did notice in a lot of these fast food places, they don't wear hairnets. They wear like a baseball cap, just, you know, looking trendy, looking good, whilst they're flipping burgers. But then the hairs are dropping on the actual product, you know, and I have seen that, you know, so that it always did worry me when you think the amount of effort that, you know, food factories put in to stop hairs, you know, falling on the product. So yeah, so it was the paper hairnet that I probably want to concentrate on a little bit now. And again, it came in snood form. I'm not sure how that's spelt. I think it's SNOOD. Sounds about right. And that would cover any facial hair. And I'll be honest with you, when I was working in these factories, I was clean shaven. I didn't want to wear a snood. I don't know why. Bit of a faff wearing it. I also had to wear white wellies, but that's something else, isn't it? But I've got a white welly story actually as well, thinking about it now. But but yes, the white paper hairnet. The problem with it is heat. You know, I'm sure you know there's a lot of people out there. You know all about how much energy the brain uses. You know, we're intelligent creatures. Even the really apparently stupid ones of us are actually, there's a lot going on in the brain. There's a lot of work going on. And when you get a lot of work, a lot of blood flow, a lot of heat, yeah, a lot of heat comes out the top of your head. And you realise when you cover your head, whether it's with a full head mask or something like that, or with a hairnet, just how hot your head is. And even now I'm wearing these are Sony WH3, I don't know what they call XM1000 WH3 Bluetooth. They're not on, by the way, they're just for show, but even those are giving me, I can feel a bit of heat, you know, and I don't like having them fully, I don't want the full silence experience, so I'm hearing my own voice as well. I'm a bit old school like that, you know, but so it's the heat anyway, and the problem with the paper hairnet, it kept the heat in a lot more. Bear in mind, I could be in one of these factories, and I was just blowing through. I wasn't like, you know, there full time. You know, I was only there for maybe a few weeks at a time, whatever. But for 7 or 8 hours wearing this hairnet, it's an incredible amount of heat that isn't escaping, I don't know, into the atmosphere and keeping your brain cool, you know. And I do believe that's the reason that I lost a lot of hair. I mean, there's quite a lot of hair loss in one part of my family. Another part of my family where they just show off, they have a thick head of hair, you know. But I definitely think that was a factor in losing the hair quite relatively young. I mean, I noticed it started dropping out in my early mid-20s, and it sort of progressed from there. You know, managed to keep the back of the head now. I'm not quite sure what evolutionary advantage this has given me. There could be something. I mean, if this is on YouTube, leave something in the comments as to what evolutionary advantage there is to having like a real bald bit at the top and all this thick growth of hair on the back of your head. And growing on my neck as well. For some reason, the back of my neck, it loves like massive amounts of hair. Maybe it's something to do with predators chasing you. You know, you're going after a woolly mammoth. You've got a spear. Wouldn't be as fat as this running after a woolly mammoth. Right? Running after a woolly mammoth with a spear. I'm gonna give it a bit of that. And obviously, there's a predator coming up behind me, but they don't see me. I blend into the background because of this thick brown patch on the back of my head. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to know if there was an evolutionary reason why you sort of end up that way. But yeah, so that's hairnets, and you know, in some ways it upsets me when I do go into McDonald's and Burger King, you know, and you do see them not wearing the correct. Well, they wear what they're given. I mean, it's not the people's fault, to be fair, and I mean, it's got to be one of the worst jobs in the world, flipping burgers, and we all know they're doing it because, you know, we need money in life. We're a capitalist planets, you know, money's the secret sauce of life, so you have to do it. But anyway, hairnets and white wellies. So white wellies, so that's the other thing in food factories. Everything is white so that you can see when it's dirty. Boom, it's perfect, isn't it? But white wellies were quite common. So you put your white wellies on to go around the factory, whatever. But I worked with a guy, and he happened to have a pair of white wellies at home. Maybe doing it for the back of his car for when he was going to these factories, whatever. But he brought him into work, I think. He got into the office and it started snowing. It got snowing really heavy, you know. I can't remember exactly the scenario, but essentially he decided to come to work in white wellies, and it was fine because it was snowing. Loads of snow around. Nobody cared. He's in white wellies. No one noticed. Maybe black wellies wouldn't look so good in the snow, you know. But anyhow, he comes to work in white wellies, and then comes to home time, and there's no snow. All the snow's gone, and it's quite funny really, because then he has to walk through the centre of town. No snow, just a bit of wet weather, you know, wearing these really creepy white wellies.